Welcome to the Throwdown, the mostly weekly segment where the Technodrome decides what is best, what is worst, who is right, and who is wrong. The gloves are off. The topic for this week is something we kind of covered before, but we want definitive statements. What is your favorite video game? Now, we're going to take this from, I guess, as far back as Atari if we really wanted to, but we're going to take it up to PS1 because it's kind of the era that we cover. So I have 5 minutes ready to go on the clock. Mr. Duff, please bang the gong. And I'm throwing it to the Scales Meister. What's your favorite video game?
My favorite video game of all time is on the Sony PlayStation, so I'm glad that we're including that in our range.
We'll allow it.
Yes, thank you. And there is no Coke in this game, Duffy. So my favorite video game of all time is Resident Evil, the original.
Two. Oh.
No, not 2. The original. You know, there would be no 2 if there was the original. Come on.
Yeah.
The original survival horror, hard to say, survival horror game, really defined that genre of games. There is so much in that genre today that wouldn't be there if Resident Evil was never created. Also, Resident Evil, from everything that I read, and all these articles from directors, TV producers, the zombie revitalization of the 90s and 2000s wouldn't have been what it was without Resident Evil. Resident Evil really opened up kids our age to that genre. That was kind of mid 70s, 80s, zombies. Like that wasn't a thing until Resident Evil came back into the scene. Wasn't a thing to that level, I guess. So it did a lot for the entertainment industry as a whole. The game itself, amazing. A lot of cutscene B-movie horror type stuff, which is always entertaining. But just a lot of scary elements. Just kept on the edge of your seat. There's puzzles. Great villains, just a great game. It's still my all-time favorite, no matter what. So that's my pick.
One of the early classics from PlayStation, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
So we owe Resident Evil, all the claim to fame here for making The Walking Dead having like 37 seasons.
Yeah, well, they kind of went off the rails at a certain point. So we'll give the credit to the early seasons of Walking Dead.
Damn it, Carl.
Okay. As Dirk always calls it, The Walking Derp.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Duff, favorite video game?
I'm actually going to go along the route of another PlayStation game as well. A series, a whole franchise of games, but I didn't really play any of the other ones at any other point of my life. This just kind of came out. I got it as a gift, and I dove into it, and you just kind of get sucked in, and it just takes you so long to beat. Final Fantasy VII. They brought it back more recently. They remastered it for some of the newer platforms here, PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. And it's just one of those games that, it's you just get sucked into it. At the time, it was like one of the 3-disc packs, so you had to switch after you get to a certain point. Back in the days when you had to use memory cards and all that good stuff and save your progress. But it was just so cool with how much you could actually do within the game. I don't even know where to begin, but just like you could, you start off and you're fighting the evil villain who's, essentially kind of used to be like an old friend, I guess you could say, of his that he kind of was a soldier with. And, he's even today, they still utilize some of the characters into other games. They're just so, well known, Cloud and Sephiroth. But I don't know if either of you guys ever played that, but even the music was kind of cool. And just that normally wasn't my genre of video game that I would get into, but they just did such a good job with just, the storyline, and even the gameplay was a lot of fun. And just beginning to end, it was just such a well-mastered, complete game that, I recommend to anybody if they're ever interested. So
Yeah, I've always wanted to check it out.
Yeah, same.
Takes a long time, so you need to have a long time to really get into it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like choosing this game is like choosing between favorite children. I have to go with The Legend of Zelda, the original for NES. It's just enduring classic. I've been playing it since I was 3 or 4 years old. It never gets old. I never really get tired of playing it. I've beaten the first quest a bunch of times. I've never beaten the second quest, so I don't mean Zelda Part 2. If you're not familiar with The Legend of Zelda, if you beat the game once, then you go through the game again, and the dungeons are in different places. The enemies are stronger. It's so hard, and it's hard to even find all the levels. And pre-internet, it was basically impossible. I still have not beaten it to this day. I'm trying currently. But I mean, the soundtrack, the gameplay, it was revolutionary. Open world, you had to do a lot of exploration. It was truly a revolutionary game.
The music was awesome incredible too.
Yeah, the music, and it's so funny because there aren't many songs in the game. You're listening to the same thing over and over and over, kind of like Super Mario, and it's great. And same composer, that might be why. Yeah. All right, 5 minutes is up. I'm going to give us 3 minutes instead of 2 because we can do a little comment, and then if you have an honorable mention. Do you guys have honorable mentions? If not, I'll just keep it to 2 minutes.
I mean, there's plenty of games I could talk about here that I just would get sucked into. So
yeah, I know, go down a rabbit hole.
I guess I'm just gonna. I don't know.
You know what? We'll keep it to 2 then. So make it this. I'll make it. You got to be decisive. I'm gonna hit start. Joe, Duffman, to you.
I'm gonna go any of the MVP baseball franchise video games. I love baseball. I love all those, as we discussed many times, but there's just something about playing a baseball video game. I mean, they all started with RBI baseball, which I know we've talked about in the past as well. And it just matured into, MVP baseball. There's just so many things that you could do within that one. And I know you guys are familiar with it, and Scales especially. Just the music, some of the songs that you'd hear from it. I still listen to some of those songs on my playlist today.
Nice.
IOU. Wait, what? IOU and IOU?
IOU, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great song. Yeah. How big will get a kick out of that.
Scales, what about you?
So I guess for me, I'm just going to pick a whole entire franchise because it's easier, and say Madden. The whole Madden NFL franchise to me was huge growing up, starting on Sega with Madden 93. And then, through the PlayStation. I don't remember the last one on PlayStation, probably like Madden 2000 or something. All of them. I spent so many hours in franchise mode, building teams, draft, going through the draft. It was like my dream. Yeah. What's that? Oh, Bill Quinn. Yes. Yeah. Don't never forget Bill Quinn. So yeah, I love Madden, my all-time favorite football sports franchise. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll comment quickly on each of yours. Scales, I wish I could have been sitting with you anytime you played Resident Evil because I want to see you jump and I want to hear you scream.
Yes.
Duff, I'd never played Final Fantasy VII, but you mentioned the soundtrack. That's one that people talk about. It's legendary. It's this kind of proggy thing. I've always heard it's really well written, and the game is huge. It's 3 discs, right?
Yeah, the old one, but yeah.
Yeah. And then my honorable mention that I really wanted to pick was Mega Man 2. It's hard not to pick that because I love that game. And again,
music too.
Oh man, so good. And just replay value. Just you could keep playing it over and over and over and over. But our time is up. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, as I hope that all of you out there in YouTube land did as well. And I hope that, I don't really care if my co-host did or not, but I hope that they did.
Co-host my favorite.
But that's it for this week. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Please comment, let us know what your favorite video games were growing up, and even if you're outside the range we talk about, if you're a little younger, if you're a little older, tell us what it was. Maybe you liked Asteroids, or maybe you liked something on PS2, or maybe you like Sega Saturn. Yeah, Arkanoid, exactly. Like Senor Scales down here. But leave us a comment, like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, and follow us on social media where we're putting a lot of stuff up. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Throwbacks Technodrome Pod. We put up a lot of different clips of our shows and of stuff outside. Try to keep it funny, when we can be. And that's it for this week. So we hope to see you soon. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Always love chocolate.